And away we go. It is another nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. And Aaron, you were right. Jalapeno cheese mets, Galactic sauce,
fire,
big hit. And I'm usually a simple. I know people don't like this, but I like it. It's what my taste buds enjoy. I'm a ketchup and mustard guy on most sausage products.
Same, as far as like in a bun.
Yeah, if it's in a bun, I like ketchup and mustard on it.
Mm-hmm.
I just went Galactic sauce.
Yep.
It accentuated the jalapenos.
Game changer.
In the jalapeno cheese mets. They were the bluegrass jalapeno cheese mets.
I imagine it'd be better for you as well if you were doing that without all the sugar that's in ketchup.
Probably. I mean, that's the thing about I know when back before she got sick and just decided, look, I'm not gonna count calories on condiments. Kelly was big on she went on a mustard kick because mustard has basically no calories, right? Yeah, there's nothing bad for your body in mustard. So yeah, I went a couple of jalapeno cheese mets today. I didn't fire up the grill just to do 2 jalapeno cheese mets, so I did the I've got a cast iron indoor griddle, like one of the ones that just goes on the stovetop. I did it on that. They were delicious. The Galactic sauce went perfect with them. Shane sent us some advice today.
He did.
on the sauce. On the sauce, just shake it up, and you're good.
So of course,
good to go.
Of course, I've tried that, and I do want to quantify what I said last night about the sauce in saying that it's been in the fridge since I got it. I think right around the new year. And he said he's also got one that he's been holding on to just to see about the shelf life, wondering quite the same thing as well.
Yeah.
I do also want to say that I've not had. I traditionally have some bowel issues. From being completely honest, I traditionally have some like IBS stuff going on.
Too much information.
That's fine. But I don't have any issues currently with having consumed it today on my sandwich and last night on the leftover Mets, or yesterday for lunch on the leftover Mets. So it was no issues.
It was fine.
So
basically, he said as long as it doesn't break, which you know what a sauce looks like if it breaks.
I did not understand that term.
Really?
Nope.
So when it breaks, it's the consistency of the oil and the ingredients breaks away from each other. So you have a sauce that looks like 2 different things.
I don't know how I would know that with a white bottle, but
when you put it on your whatever, you would know 1,000% if the sauce had broken. Trust me. If the sauce is broken, you will know this doesn't look right. This is bad.
Perhaps that's where I'm at right now. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, you would know. Trust me. There's no mistaking when a sauce breaks.
Okay.
But anyway, we're 3.5 minutes in. We got to do a show.
That we are.
But it was great on the jalapeno cheese mets. GalacticFriedChicken.com. Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Pump it up. Get 15% off. We started on this journey of doing positions. Football, basketball in the off season, especially through May, because May we knew was going to be kind of slow,
a little tough.
It hasn't been as slow as we thought. There have been things that have occupied us, and we haven't. We've done 3? We've done quarterback, point guard, and running back.
Yes,
and we thought it was going to be an everyday thing. So we need to kind of buckle down on the positions. So tonight we were going to do defensive line next. But with the Noah Potter commitment yesterday, we talked a lot about defensive line last night. I wouldn't consider it a defensive line preview. So we're still going to do that. We just pushed it back a little bit to give it some space from the Noah Potter commitment to talk about the defensive line. So tonight, we're going to do linebacker, which shockingly, after losing Darian Beavers and Joel DeBlanco, 2 guys that have been kind of mainstays, staples, if you will, of the Cincinnati defense over the last couple of years. it's still a position that feels like it's in really good hands, Aaron.
I agree. I mean, I've been not shy in my adoration for one Jaheim Thomas, as I projected him out as my early defensive MVP when we had that discussion on the BBP. So, yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a huge drop-off, even losing a Darian Beavers and a Joel DeBlanco on this squad.
So Huber is probably going to slide into that middle linebacker spot. Is going to slide into that middle linebacker spot. Jaheim Thomas into that weak side linebacker position. We're going to include the snipers or the strong side linebackers, the coverage linebackers, if you will, into this preview as well, because I just don't think it's enough meat on the bones to carry a full show, if you will. So you're looking at first team from what we saw through the spring. Will Huber in the middle, Jaheim Thomas outside, and also Jaheim Thomas showing his positional versatility by becoming more of a stand-up rush end on passing downs. So kind of moving up to the line of scrimmage and filling both of those roles without changing personnel.
Well, and we've talked at length about the fact that this team simply doesn't have a guy to replicate what Maje did on the end. And I guess Jaheim's kind of about the closest thing you have.
I mean, I guess now you'll find out, like, does Noah Potter maybe give you an additional option there? We saw Rob Well, I don't want to get into defensive line.
Sure. No, I just mean in the tall, rangy.
Yeah, I'm just saying we'll talk about Jaheim as potential like rush end when we get to defensive line.
Okay.
And talking about the linebacker stuff, you've got a guy in Jaheim that's going to be able to set the edge, that's athletic, that absolutely physically looks the part. He was a 4-star recruit. He's been chomping at the bit and learning behind, admirably learning behind the guys that were in front of him. He's now entering that range to be the guy, right? Like to be the next in that line of NFL linebackers from Cincinnati. That's where he's at. It's upon him to go out on the field and produce. With Wilson Huber, I think it's an interesting, he started at tight end, and then he came in after the switch to linebacker as kind of a sub package, a blitz guy, like a guy that just his job was to take his face and smash it into the first person that he saw. It will be interesting seeing Wilson Huber in that full-time linebacker, like starting linebacker role. Is he a guy that like Joel DeBlanco, when he got his chance, just racked up 8, 10, 12 tackle games, right? Like, is Wilson Huber going to be able to accomplish that? I think that's the pressing question with the linebackers.
Well, I think my favorite thing that I've seen of Will Huber at the spring game was just how much it seemed that he was sliding into that Joel DeBlanco role, not just on the field, but also off the field as a leader, as a captain on this team.
He's a kid everybody loves.
But he always just had 2 or 3 guys around him dissecting what was happening on the field, not goofing off and not just messing around, but literally watching what's happening. And even when it was the twos out there, like it wasn't like, all right, well, we're done with our reps. Let's go just, goof off or whatever. It was
some water and stand on the sidelines.
It was like hardcore, breaking it down over there with Briggs or Jaheim or whoever else he had around him, but just continuing what Joel was doing. Joel set the tone, I think, for who Will can be. And I think it's very cool to see.
Yeah. Now it's his time to show us on the field. Same with Jaheim. Right. I mean, they were behind 2 guys that were massively productive.
Absolutely.
And they have massive shoes to fill. Beavers was drafted. DeBlanco was one of the first college free agents off the board. Like his signing with the Saints was like, all right, that's the end of the draft. See you later. ESPN signed off, and Joel DeBlanco signed with New Orleans. Right. Like it was instant. So that tells you like where the value on those 2 were at the college level. So I do think there's a certain level of uncertainty in their performance, but from what we saw this spring, I think there's confidence that Will Huber and Jaheim Thomas will get the job done.
I think the fun thing is we've talked all this time so far about Will and Jaheim here, but we haven't even mentioned either of the paces.
So we're going to get to that. I'd like to stick with the middle linebacker and the weak side linebacker, and then we'll get to, because I think the sniper position is fascinating.
Absolutely.
Jack Dingle, who is an Adonis, if you will. Not my words. Somebody said that about him. I can't remember.
Sure. Not your words. Okay.
It certainly wasn't me, but somebody called Jack Dingle an Adonis. And Ivan Pace are working behind Jaheim Thomas and Will Huber, respectively. If Jack Dingle lives up to his physical potential, we won't be waiting into the third day of the NFL draft down the road a couple years from now to hear his name. And Ivan Pace is just, he's one of those guys. He doesn't have the physical, he doesn't look like Jack Dingle.
No.
But he knows how to get shit done. He makes plays. He gets to the ball. He rushes the quarterback. He's effective in his career at Miami at everything that he did.
Led Miami. His last year at Miami, he led them in tackles.
Yeah.
Like 150 or something obscene.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys. He's got a lot of Jarrell White to him. And, like, when you put him on the field, he's going to get to the ball. You know what? He's also got a lot in him. He's got a lot of Deshaun Pace in him, who is another guy that just knows a way to get to the ball.
Weird that their DNA strands match.
They look a lot different.
They do. I'll give you that.
But their DNA and how they play is very similar. And then behind them, you have David Jones, who's pressing to get on the field. You have Devin Hightower, the transfer from Michigan State, who's pressing to get on the field. You've got Cam Jr., who had a couple really, really nice spring practices to kind of get his name on that list of guys to watch. Like, they've got a lot of quality depth stacking at linebacker, which isn't a surprise because, and this is nothing against, when I say this, I don't want people to take it as, a slant against Tressel, because he's just now, like, his first group of guys are going to be coming in this summer.
Right.
These are all the guys Marcus Freeman brought in to play linebacker at Cincinnati. And what we're finding out at Notre Dame, which is no surprise, that dude can recruit. Like, that dude knows how to get shit done. They're number one in the country in 2023 and I think 2024. I
don't know that we didn't already know that before he left.
Of course we knew that.
Everyone else is just figuring out that he can really recruit.
Right. But we're talking about, these are the guys that he brought into his linebacker room.
Yeah.
So you feel pretty comfortable about their ability. Sniper position. So they had two guys that basically combined to be like a Marvel superhero at linebacker last year. Jesus, Reds. My God. There's no chance you believe that those two guys split 50-50.
Which is crazy, right? That they both had as much productivity as they had while splitting reps.
Right. Like, Deshaun Pace had 100 tackles or so, right? Like,
he was third on the list.
Yeah.
For tackles last season.
And Van Fossen wasn't far behind.
No. I think he was maybe fifth.
Right. They were both right there. They were
Somewhere.
both right at the top of the team in production on one of the best defenses in America.
Yeah, don't quote me on that fifth, but
they were both right at the. I'll pull it up, but
it's fine.
Yeah,
I got you. Keep talking.
They were both insanely productive while splitting time. So when it comes down to it, I got it. Tackles. Pace was third with 94. Van Fossum was fifth with 70.
I was right.
The only people ahead of them, DeBlanco and Beavers, and then Brian Cook.
Guys that are in the NFL.
Right.
Weird.
The other thing that's going to be interesting at that linebacker position, that sniper linebacker position, Leroy Bowers was moved to nickel, which is a crazy spot to put somebody with Leroy Bowers measurables, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he has the athleticism to do it. You've got also a guy now in Bowers that's kind of an insurance policy. Like, you're using him as a luxury and moving him around because you have Pace and Van Fossen at that spot. But if something were to happen and somebody misses a game or two or whatever the case may be, it's not going to be hard to just swing Bowers back over into that position and say, all right, get back after it. This is what you were doing that made us feel like we had to find a way to get you on the field. So now you swing back. So that gives you some depth. And then you have Sincere Lewis, who, if you looked at that kid,
he doesn't look like a true freshman.
Nah, he doesn't. Not an early enrollee freshman that should have been at prom.
Right.
Over the past 2 weeks,
Doesn't look like
prom.
Any of that.
Right.
No, he has the physicality of like what we're accustomed to seeing as a junior.
Right. So you are loaded at that sniper position. And you have leaders. You have guys that are going to be amongst your best players. You have guys that are going to have a chance to play in the NFL. So when you look at linebacker, I think you feel pretty comfortable, even though you lost your number 1 and number 2 tacklers. I think that it's fair to say there's going to be a transition, and maybe at the beginning of the season, it takes Huber and Jaheim Thomas a little bit of time to ramp up.
Yeah.
But ultimately, man, you look loaded at linebacker for a while.
You look deep, and depth is something that not a ton of – I don't know that there's a ton of depth across the board. But at linebacker, there's certainly not a lack of depth.
There's
not only at
oodles
that position,
of talent.
Right. It's not even the fact that it's just the linebacker depth with the linebackers. Right. It's the fact that they have enough versatility and athleticism to fill in some other slots among the defense.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that you're discussing Leroy Bowers in a sense that he's too athletic to not be on the field. Let's see where else we can get him on the field. And so
the answer is nickel corner.
Right.
Not safety, not like nickel corner.
So I think that just goes to show that there's a lot of toys here in the linebacking core for Mike Tressel to kind of play around with.
I agree. It's going to be interesting. All right, PTP tonight. I'm on the radio for Mo tomorrow, 3 to 6. So I'm sure we will talk plenty of Bearcats. A lot of Bengals probably tomorrow too, with OTAs happening right now. Probably a little Bengals tomorrow, but join me, and then we'll find you back here tomorrow night for another nightcap. Maybe go back to offense if we do. If nothing pops up and we're doing another positional, or maybe we go back to basketball. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. Galactic Fried Chicken is the sponsor. Nightcap is the show right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.